Hi peaches, it's Shaaba. Welcome back to my channel and thank you for clicking on another video. It's Monday and you know what that means. It is time for us to go a-fishing for a-holes. And what have we caught today? Whoop! A huge thank you to Wild for partnering on today's video. If you've been here a while, you'll know that I've been using Wild deodorant for over a year. And why? Because it is good for my body, good for the planet, and good for our wallet. Because Wild's mission is to kick out single-use plastic from the bathroom for good. Since they've started on this mission, they have saved 1.6 million pounds of single-use plastic from entering our landfill, which is pretty incredible. And now they have a refillable roll-on deodorant that keeps your skin hydrated, smooth, and nourished, whilst also being ultra lightweight, fast drying, and invisible. No white marks, which along with how fresh this is to roll on your body is perfect for this summer heat. She is a smooth, sleek, strong queen, just like you. And just like their deodorant sticks, these Wild roll-ons have 24-hour protection. They got vegan formulas with no aluminium salts or parabens, which means they're not blocking your pores unlike some others. And they come in these sexy premium cases with plastic-free and compostable refills. I have the fresh cotton and sea salt, which honestly smells so fresh and calming. I could eat it, but don't do that. That would not be good. They also have a coconut and vanilla, cherry blossom, and honey almond. And honestly, that's one of the things that I love most about Wild. They have fantastic new scents coming out all the time, and they make such fantastic gifts. You can even get these little babies engraved, and it makes your heart feel good because with every purchase, they plant a tree partnered with On a Mission. You really can't go wrong, mate. So if you're ready to rock and roll with a roll-on that actually works, you can click on my link downstairs in the description box, or scan this little QR code right here, and if you use my code SHAABA2025 you will get 20% off of your entire Wild order. But it's only available for a limited time, so do get a wiggle on. Now please note, even though you cannot smell me through the screen, I am serving sexy and fresh with this little mama as we get on with the video. You're through to 1-800-DRAMA, the show where you share your biggest dilemmas and I help you navigate them. I'm Shaaba, and with your help,
and sometimes mine,
let's help people figure out if they are the drama, because sometimes you just need an outside perspective and we can all expand our own mindsets along the way. Are you ready to dive deep into the a-holes? Let's go. All right, peaches, are you ready? Am I the drama as a waitress for accepting a massive tip from a creepy older man? Do you know, I have gone to the beach today. The weather was so good, the sun was shining, and I was just craving a Mr. Whippy, and so I got my little ice cream date with my partner Jamie, right? And he's so full of puns. It's made me conditioned to see them everywhere. When I read this, I was like, don't eat yellow snow. That's a massive tip for you. It's terrible. It's terrible. This is what they mean when they say you're turning into your partner. Anyway, let's see if we can help OP out. I, says OP, am a 27-year-old woman and I am a waitress. On Friday night, I served this table. It was a middle-aged woman and a very handsome middle-aged man. And I have recently been corrected. I thought that being in your 30s meant that you're middle-aged, but no. Middle-age seems to fall somewhere between 40 and 55. I'm learning this now. Every day is a school day. He's a guy that I would have gone out with, says OP, if he wasn't so creepy. I mean, hang on, is the woman on this table the date? Because that's an odd thing to say. OP continues, he made sure to mention that the woman he was dining with was his sister. Okay, that's fine. After the meal, he gave me a $500 US dollar, just to clarify, tip. The tip was almost twice the price of the meal. Almost twice the price? Damn, that's an expensive meal. Imagine going out to eat and spending like $250 on a meal. To be fair, I don't drink alcohol, so whenever we do go out, it tends to be a lot cheaper than, I guess, what most people do go when they're buying like fancy wines or cocktails and stuff, because that's where the big markup is, right? On price. So I'm always like just astonished how much people spend at restaurants. Opie continues, he told me that the tip was because I was so pretty. How do we feel about this? Normally, I would say this is really bad. After work, I told a fellow waitress, who's a 32-year-old woman, and she was angry. She told me that it was a stupid decision to accept that. Why? She said it made it seem like his behaviour like that is acceptable by accepting it. I probably would never accept a tip like that under those circumstances again. Am I the drama? I'm having to unpack this a little. Okay, I can see how creepy middle-aged man is warranting the badge of creepy. He's been real certain to point out that the person he's with is not his romantic partner, and he's called you pretty, and I'm assuming he's trying to impress you with this tip. This giant tip. At the same time, I'm not gonna lie, being really honest, I did kind of expect more. I think with the setup by saying so creepy, I don't know, maybe I'm being desensitized by this forum, and I do entirely acknowledge that it's unbelievably unprofessional to go to a restaurant and speak to a server who is working and be like, this person is my sister, I'm not dating them, let me also mention how pretty you are. I get it, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, I just feel like these aren't the behaviors that would put me off taking such a tip. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm struggling to see how this is OP's fault and why it's OP's responsibility, I guess, to deny something that is being given to OP regardless of whether she knows what the intentions are for. And by that I mean like whether it's for a fantastic good service or if there was this element of being like, maybe if I give you a big tip you'll leave me my number. Your number. You know what I mean. But why is that OP's fault that he's done that? Why would that mean that you therefore shouldn't take it? I wouldn't say that that's stupid. I wouldn't say that that's encouraging his behavior or enticing his behavior. Assuming you didn't engage with those comments and you just said thank you for the tip and you weren't flirting back, like being equally as unprofessional, then it's not a problem. I'm making an assumption here as I say this, but I would hazard a guess that a lot of people, including this fellow waitress who is 32, who is calling you out right now, if she was in that situation, I wonder if she would have said no to $500. Do you get what I'm saying? I feel like it would be different if he'd said, you know, like, if I give you this tip, will you go out with me? If I give you this tip, will you leave me your number? Then you'd be like, ew, no, please go away, you know? But if it hasn't come with any conditions, I'm struggling to see why there should be any onus or linking to you accepting it. So I'm gonna say not the drama. Maybe I'm gonna say no drama here, actually. No, not the drama. That is my badge. She says, you can tell what kind of episode this is going to be. Let's see if other people agree. Not the drama, you work for tips and you didn't do anything out of line to get it. The co-worker is just jealous for sure. I mean, I can see where it's coming from. I don't think it's good to make assumptions, but I do think it's good to realise that anything can be a potential option. And thank you, commenter, for also reminding me that in the US, assuming this is where you are because you mentioned that it's in US dollars, that you do work for tips. Like, this is your livelihood. It's not like in the UK where you get paid a wage and this is a bonus. No, this is like the money. So yeah, I definitely don't think you're the drama. I'm really struggling to see why you would be the drama at all in this situation. This commenter has also advised, never tell your co-workers about that kind of tip. I mean, unless you always pull tips and you're adding it to the pool, but that's different. Why? Is it because then they might wish to pull the tips? I'm not sure where this is coming from, but I also don't have like waiting experience. So maybe somebody else in the comments can enlighten us. Not the drama. It's not like that you asked for the big tip or agreed to do anything for it. This is my point, right? If he was like, okay, I'm going to give you this tip in response for your home address or in response to dining out with me at Red Lobster tomorrow, 7 p.m, wear the pretty yellow dress, then I would understand why it would be irresponsible, immoral, encouraging of bad behavior of you to accept that tip. But in this situation, I don't think you've done anything wrong. This commenter continues, if he is wealthy and wants to leave a big tip, all the better for you. You have done nothing wrong here. I wonder if anybody disagrees. Not the drama. Do not spill your business to others. Your money is your money. You know, it makes me really sad to see this, but I have to admit this is a reoccurring theme that I see among the situations that we discuss that talk about things like waiting staff. Everybody says, keep it to yourself. Do not share about your interactions with customers with other people. And maybe it's one of those cases of this is why we can't have nice things. It would be such a shame if other people try to make these wins less of a win for you because of jealousy or for whatever reason. This is a good rule in general, to not spill your business to others. I was a server for years and I never shared about my over-the-top tips. People would always act bitchy or entitled. Absolutely, says somebody else. I've heard many stories of managers confiscating large tips to spread to everybody also. I don't understand this. I don't understand how this could be allowed or normal, but I guess this is what happens when you work in a system that's unregulated, when you do not pay your workers and expect customers to do that on your behalf. Absolutely crazy behaviour. I do not understand the state. But many things, this included. As a former server, not the drama. This was never about her principles. It's about her being upset that you got a huge tip and she didn't. Your fellow servers care about their money, so you don't need to tell them about yours. Bragging about your huge tips is a good way to make enemies or to get robbed after work, when one of the shady ones send a text to their friends or partners and has them waiting by your car outside. This is very cynical, but we do live in a world where such things can happen. Never talk about how much you have made in tips. Nobody needs that information but you, the IRS, and your boss. I guarantee that she would have kept the tip herself if she'd been the one serving him. And I do think that's a really good rule, a good way to exercise whether you are doing the right thing or not. Just as a little top tip, put yourself in other people's shoes. I am very certain that if the, what do they say? Slipper was on the other toe, then she would have accepted the tip herself, and based on this information and other people's accounts, probably wouldn't have said anything to anybody else as she did so. And if I was in that position, I would accept the $500 tip. It's $500, dude, being given to you willingly, not under duress, where this is your literal livelihood. Take money. A cha-ching. You'd already interacted with him, might as well get paid for it. Not the drama. Just for my own personal reasons, I would really love more information. I am going to stick this badge up as well. You are not the drama. But I also want more information because I just want to understand how creepy this dude is. I see a world in which saying, this is me and my sister, and also saying, you're pretty, it could sit somewhere here, around the harmless, you know, kind of untoward, like, oh, dude, did you have to? But relatively harmless to super duper creepy. And I wish we had the extra details so that I could just be nosy. Not the drama, jealousy is ugly. I'm surprised, I'm not gonna lie, to see a consensus. I don't know why, a part of me really felt that there would be more varied badges, especially some no drama here's, but I am in agreement with these badges. What do you think, Peaches? Let me know. Get your juicy little butts downstairs in the comment section. Just remember to be kind. Am I the drama for following someone on Instagram? Well, tickle me pink. If you're the drama for doing that, then I've been the drama like 800 times. So a few weeks ago, says OP, I was scrolling through my Instagram and I followed a page, and that's when the normal drop down with people you may know appears, and it had the suggested people to follow. That little pool is hell creepy. I have to say, I moved house a while ago, and as I was in my new house, unpacking boxes, going on Insta to pass the time as I was doing a little poop, who do I see in the little people you may know? It was none other than my new neighbour that I had literally just spoken to, like, I don't know, an hour before. I'd never seen them before in my life. I had no idea who she was, what she did, but now, because of Instagram, I knew a lot more details about her, and it felt really creepy that my phone was giving me that information. I mean, I'm assuming that's based on my geographical location information. Like, Insta, stop it. Stay in your lane, babe. Whew. Anyway, that's not what OP was saying. OP says, there was this one girl that caught my eye, and so I gave her a follow, and I didn't think anything of it. The next morning, a really close friend of mine is going nuts, messaging me on Instagram, saying things like, why'd you follow my friend? That's so weird. Why would you go through my followers and follow people? Which I didn't do, and she's questioning me now. Oh, I'm getting the vibe that OP is a guy, and that maybe this other friend of yours is potentially into her. Let's read on and see. OP says, I apologised if I'd upset him, and then I unfollowed her. Then he keeps going on saying things like, you're actually a truly, you are so weird, and it's made it so awkward with her and I now. This is very bizarre behaviour. I was actually pretty shocked, says OP, that one of my closest friends would actually talk to me in this way at something like this. So I left the group chat with myself, him, and another guy that he was messaging all of this in. So he was also doing this in front of somebody else. This is bizarre behaviour. If a profile is public, even if it's not public, you are your own person. Free will, baby. You are absolutely allowed to click that little follow button if you want to. I'm surprised that anybody would have a problem with that, especially if your account is public. It didn't say that you requested permission to follow on a private account. You followed her. If someone has a public account, surely there will be a bunch of people following people all the time. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a creator and therefore, like, it's not just family and friends, but even before I was a creator, there would be occasional people that would follow you. There are people that slide into everybody's DMs. It's social media. It's to be social. Why would that person have a problem with it? But more importantly, why would the friend of that person have a problem with it? It sounds to me like one of two things are happening. Either your friend is into her, and so when she noticed and was like, oh, I noticed so-and-so followed me, he's like, oh my god, this means I have competition now. Must get alpha male on and take you down. Or she's, for some reason, acted really funny about the fact that you followed. There is a third option that I've just thought of, and that is that you've done something perhaps a little bit creepy OP and just not said what it is, and she's therefore now uncomfortable because she knows you in some other way. But we have to take these posts on face value, right? And the fact that you've said there's someone who's caught my eye, like, it seems like you don't know each other, that there is no previous connection, in which case I can just think that your friend is the drama and not yourself. Oh, 1 second, let's hold the badge though. Even before this, says OP, when he wanted to hang out and I couldn't make it through text, he'd reply with weak or coward, which he never used to do last year. So what do you think? Am I the drama? No, I stick my badge back. You are not the drama, my love. Your friend sounds like a bit of a dickhead though, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's very fair that you've left the group chat. I think it's sad that you felt the need to unfollow this person just because I don't think you should feel like you had to. Even the term "she's questioning me now" doesn't suggest that she's unhappy. If you'd said, look, you've made my friend feel a little bit uncomfortable, her account is only really for friends and family, she has a feeling that maybe you've done it with some ulterior motive. I mean, that's such a weird thing to say. If that's the case, babe, put your profile on private. If it's a public account, anybody can follow you. And I do think it's quite bold to assume that the only people who would be following you would be people who are interested in you romantically. All of this to say, I don't think that the questioning me now is something that probability-wise would have been with like negative intention towards you. I think she's just gone, hey, I noticed somebody that you follow and that follows you has now followed me. Who is this person? And your so-called friend has totally flipped. So yeah, I don't think you should have had to unfollow her. I definitely feel like your friend is going through something. And if he's feeling the need to berate you, saying things like weak or coward just because you can't turn up to something, this definitely doesn't sound like someone who's worthy of being friends with you. As always, it's not the badge that's most important, but the advice that goes along with it. I've seen this happen in friendships a lot, and I've experienced friendships where this has happened too. And I don't know what it is. This like need for an act of bravado. That's a word I was thinking of. My head went to patatas bravas. That is something entirely different. It's sad. It is sad when people have to do that. I myself have actually gone through that phrase too, saying things that I didn't really mean, trying to put on a different persona because I was just so weak with my own sense of self-esteem and self-worth. And do you know what I could have really done with in that moment, and what I'm sure your friend here could be doing with too, is for someone to go, hey babe, that's not very kind. Don't know what you're going through. I'm here for you if you want to talk. Maybe we shouldn't be calling people weak or cowards though, just because they have prior engagements. Hurt people. You know, let's go and have ice cream or coffee and a little bit of a friend's therapy session. And I understand that those conversations go down in a very different way than how I just described, particularly among men, if we're going by stereotypes. But would I be Mama Shaaba if I wasn't trying to encourage a little bit of healthy conversation? No, I would not. I mean, you're not the asshole, but your friend might be. He is an ass. You may want to find better friends. You are not responsible for his relationship. You followed someone who's available publicly for following. Happens all the time. Exactly this. I cannot tell you the number of people that I have followed or even gone to follow, like not yet followed, and then afterwards seen so-and-so follows or followed by so-and-so. Do you know what I mean? Like once you have discovered someone, you then realise that they have connections that are mutual. And I don't know about you, but I know for a fact for me, there are many reasons why I'd follow someone. Yeah, sometimes I thirst follow. Sometimes I thirst follow over their food or their interior design or their photography because they've got a gorgeous eye, or their comedy, or the fact that their profile just makes me feel good. Like there are so many reasons that I would follow somebody. It's so weird. The more I think about it, the more bizarre I find your friend for being like, now I'm being questioned. How dare you? It's public profile. It's like going into a shop and being like, why did you pick up that apple? I had my eye on that apple. I knew that apple first. Just bizarre. Maybe the friend likes the girl. Maybe he's afraid that you like her too, and now he sees you as competition. Definitely. This was the vibe that I got. And honestly would explain why your friend has been so OTT with his reaction over this. Not the drama, but you need a new group of friends. I think you do, mate. I'm not going to comment on the extra friend that was in the group chat, just kind of sitting there like, ooh. But I do hope that he also reached out to your other friend and was just like, dude, bit of an overreaction. And now he's left the group chat and there was just no need for all of this mess. What are you doing? Drama. All right, am I the drama for reporting my neighbour for animal cruelty? When it comes to these precious little souls with little toe beans and floof. Let's see if we can help OP out. OP says, I'm a 28-year-old woman and I moved into a townhouse 3 months ago. I've got a year lease, so moving out is not an option. Okay, it's this bad that you are considering wanting to move but feeling like you cannot. Right. My neighbour is a 40-year-old woman and has been nice enough so far. She owns her house. On her back patio, she has these wind chimes. They are pretty sounding to me, but here is the issue. About a month ago, I adopted a rescue dog from a kill shelter. Oh, and the little pupper doesn't like the wind chimes. He is a 2-year-old pitty mix. He is the sweetest wiggle butt love bug, but he was abused in his last home. I have severe ADHD and I work part-time from home. He is my ESA, which means emotional support animal for those of you who might not know, and I may train him to be my service dog. Oh, that's really interesting. I'm aware that emotional support animals exist. I'm aware that service dog animals exist, but I didn't know that there are service dog animals for people with ADHD. ADHD. I'm still learning a lot about my own ADHD journey, but the idea of having such severe ADHD that you need a service dog is also something that wasn't in my remit of knowledge. So definitely something that I'll be looking into. It's always good to learn about other people's experiences. The problem is, says OP, my poor baby is absolutely terrified of the wind chimes. I think his abusive former family had something like them. He is now refusing to go out into my yard in order to potty. Oh no. He'll cower in the house and holds his pee and poop until he has an accident in the house, and I'm having terrible anxiety attacks that it may affect his health. If it's very windy, he won't eat. I'm so worried about him. This sucks. I can understand how much it sucks as well. It's so hard when you take on an animal that hasn't always been yours. We had a similar situation with our little bug Prawn. He's the most beautiful cat. He's so unbelievably sweet, but he definitely has some quirks about him that was not in the product description, shall we say. For the first year of having a little baby Prawn, who's been, I think he's 3 now, so he's been with us for 2 years, I want to say. I'm not very good with dates, so don't hold me to that. Maybe 2.5 years, but the first year was so incredibly tough. He had territorial anxiety that made him poop and pee all over the house, particularly on furniture. It was the most stressful time. We had to call in an animal behavioural therapist. We had animal counselling and like family animal pet counselling. It was this whole thing, and ultimately the therapist counsellor person was like, yeah, I think you're gonna have to let go of him. You're clearly not the right parents for him. He clearly doesn't want to be with you. And we were absolutely distraught, but of course wanted to do like the best thing for little Prawny. And it was actually trying to get Prawn rehomed with this other person who I knew who had a lot of rescue animals. And I was like, hey, this really unfortunate thing's happened. I'm like, among tears, I was like, I don't want to do this, but do you perhaps have capacity to take on another cat? He's the sweetest little soul. He just peeps and poops everywhere. She said, I will consider this, but I want you to try something else first and put us on this medication called Clomicalm. Not us. She didn't put us on this medication. She told us to speak to our vet about this medication called Clomicalm, which is used for cats and dogs. And apparently the success rate is quite wibbly wobbly. It doesn't always work. The success rate was around 50% from what I can remember, which is why when I asked the vet, why did you not tell me about this beforehand? He was like, well, it's because it's not always effective, and more often than not, it's not effective. But I was like, look, can we just give it a go anyway? And I'm so glad we did, because it was life-changing. Absolutely life-changing. It was only because of that medication that we were able to keep Prawn. And the vet even said afterwards, I'm so glad that we did this. You were so right for pushing for this, because if he was having that problem without the medication beforehand, he would have had it regardless of what family he had gone into, because it was clearly just something from his past trauma that his little head was just not getting around, and so he was just peeing and pooing everywhere. But we gave him his little meds and he was on them for over a year, and then we slowly started to wean him off. Instead of it being every day, it was every other day, then it was every 3 days, and now he's not on them at all, which is amazing. And he still doesn't peep and poop on things. But I always get worried because we didn't see what the cause of that anxiety was. I'm concerned that there are things that set him off. There are some times where he does get into this really anxious state, and you can hear it. Like, I know it sounds really weird, but particularly to non-cat owners, but the meows sound different. You can tell when they're wanting things, and he has this anxious mew. And I'm like, oh no, Prawn's anxious mewing. What does this mean? And it particularly happens around dogs. He's deathly terrified of dogs, and he's just so scared of large noises. I mentioned this on stream the other day, but Jamie farted. Like, he just farted. It wasn't a particularly loud fart, it was a normal fart, and Prawn got so scared he ran out of the room. And I was like, dude, you have known us now for coming on to 3 years. You know what our farts sound like. Why are you running away as if it is the end of the world? That very long waffly digression to say, animal trauma is a real thing. I can understand your frustration. Maybe a medication like Clomicalm would be a good idea for you and your little floof. Let's carry on with what OP's post is saying. I asked my neighbour, says OP, if she would please take down the chimes temporarily until I could work on his training and desensitization. She refused, even though I explained my worries about him not eating or going outside. I also think he has a right to use his own yard, but mostly about his health. She rolled her eyes and told me that she won't. Neighbours are funny things, aren't they? I think that's a real dick move from your neighbour. I think that's such a shame. I can understand liking the sound of wind chimes. I can also see, like, maybe there's a world in which they're really sentimental to her. You know, perhaps there's something that a departed husband really enjoyed the sound of, and so this is his memory, and she feels that she can hear his spirit as they dingle-dangle in the wind. In which case, I'd like to think that she would share it, but considering that your little floof is going through so much trauma specifically because of these wind chimes, like, wouldn't you take it down just for a little bit? I'd suggest even giving them to the dog owner. I'd be like, here, take them because I do want them up. Play them lightly in your house. Let him hear that it is not a sad, scary thing. Let him be desensitized to it and then give him back to me in like 2 weeks. Or like go get your own wind chime even. Maybe I'm being too trusting, but I just think that's really, really unfair behavior from your neighbor. I don't think what you're asking for is unreasonable. At the same time, however, I also see that there is no right of you to demand this of her. She is also perfectly within her right. It is her prerogative to have 10 wind chimes if she's so pleased. There is such a thing as noise pollution, of course, but things like wind chimes will not fall under that. Or at least not one wind chime. OP continues. The HOA will not intervene since chimes are allowed. So the HOA is the Homeowners Association, I believe. I know her workplace, so I called anonymously, oh my god, OP, and I told them that their employee was endangering animals. I really need to learn to connect the titles to the posts sooner. I didn't think that that would be over the wind chime. They said that they would look into it. Now when I see her, she ignores me. Am I the drama? Yes. Yes, OP. Yes, OP. You are massively the drama. That was the biggest plot twist I have seen on an Am I the Drama post, and the fact that it was done in the last sentence is wild to me. Oh, hang on a second. My brain is like, but is this not an Everybody Sucks Here? I'm going to give you a small Everybody Sucks Here badge because I do think that your neighbour was absolutely fart-faced for not removing the wind chimes, but you are definitely the biggest drama. You are the drama is the biggest badge because who in that situation calls their neighbour's employee? That is above and beyond behaviour. I cannot see a world in which that is acceptable. Going to the HOA, I understand. It's within the housing context. You don't call her workplace. And you certainly don't say that she's endangering animals because having a wind chime is not endangering animals. I'm actually getting a bit annoyed and I'm having to like understand within myself where that's coming from. I think sitting with my feelings in my belly just a little bit. I feel like it's coming from the fact that this seems to be a huge waste of time. I think it's discrediting what that term endangering animals means. I think it's trivializing it. And that's where my anger is coming from. Because having wind chimes is not the same as endangering an animal. And I'm not gonna lie, babe, if you had done that to me, I feel like ignoring you is the kindest thing that she could be doing right now. I would be on your doorstep. I would be saying, what the actual were you thinking going to my workplace with this? I would consider that a huge breach of my privacy and a huge misuse of knowledge and information, and I would be so mad. And I tell you, if she was not interested in helping you before, she sure as hell is not interested in helping you and your little puppa now. And that is your fault, because you absolutely crossed the line. I'm sorry, I don't think I mean to be sounding so harsh, but spicy Shaaba's coming out because this was an absolutely outrageous thing for you to do. Do other people agree? I need to know. You are the drama. You do not get a say as to what your neighbours can and cannot do with their house. If your neighbour had movement-activated flamethrowers pointing to your place, then you'd be correct to be making the call, but it is your responsibility to take care for the doggo you decided to rescue, and you could have known his previous history and possible triggers. 1 second. I don't think you could have known all of his previous triggers. It is your responsibility to look after your dog. I don't think that there is any world in which you can call their workplace. You don't do that. You, as a neighbour, never have a reason to call your neighbour's workplace to tattletale on them. I think if you have a problem, you can call HOA, as you did. If you have a problem still, you call the police. You call the people involved in your community, but you do not step into their other aspects of their lives. That doesn't feel right to me at all. So don't agree with that. And whilst I do agree it is your responsibility to look after your dog, I also do think it's a bit harsh to be like, oh, you should have known about his previous triggers. You won't know everything. The people who have rescued the little puppa and passed him on to you to look after him and be his forever home probably don't know all of his triggers either. This commenter does go on to say, though, I have a dog that hates the screeching sound from swings in the park, and I'm not prohibiting kids from swinging, I just go to the park when there's no kids. And yes, I also have ADHD, so that's not a valid response to anything. If you can't properly care for your dog, then find him another home that can. I do see where this commenter is coming from, but I do also think that they're thinking a little bit black and white in that situation, because it's not like OP is going to the neighbour's house where that sound is being made. Like, it's literally in the dog's own environment that he is hearing this wind chimes. It's not his fault. It's not OP's fault that he's reacting that way. Sure, the commenter in this situation could just not go to that specific park where there are swings. There are other parks, there are other fields that you can go to that don't have screeching swings, but you can't stop a dog from being in your house. You can enlist help and train and have like really intense programs, right, to show a dog that it's okay, that wind chimes are not scary. And if you need help with that, you can absolutely enlist help for that. But that's a different thing to what this commenter is saying. So whilst I agree with The sentiment of where this is coming from, I do think this comment's a little bit harsh. I'd love to know your opinion though, do you agree? Or am I being too soft? You are the drama that was completely uncalled for and a blatant lie which could cost her job. I totally agree. Even in a world where we assumed it was okay to call a neighbour's employer over this, which it's absolutely not, and I cannot see a world in which it would be, but say that was normal, what you are saying is so detrimental. To say that somebody is endangering animals, inflicting violence on someone, the effect that that's going to have on their reputation, the effect that could have on their friendships, the relationships they have in their workplace, which you know absolutely nothing about, is unbelievable. And you are incredibly right. What if she happened to work as a vet? I know she doesn't, but that would 1,000,000% be costing her job. What if her job required a DBS check? I don't know if things like animal cruelty are involved in that list. I'm assuming they are. Even if it wasn't just from a legal standpoint, like just morally, you have caused so many complications because the assumption of endangering animals is not I own wind chimes. It's significantly worse. Not to mention, this commenter continues, you have completely destroyed any hopes that she will work with you in the future. 1,000,000%. Find a trainer, stop the drama. This is your issue to figure out, not your neighbour's. Go and apologise. I really do think that an apology would be a good idea. The one thing that I will push back on this comment though is I do think that this is an issue that you both could have helped figure out. I know it's not the neighbour's fault, but it's still the neighbour's... Was it the neighbour's problem? I was about to misuse my own statement. No, I don't think it was the neighbour's problem, but the neighbour absolutely could have aided you with this problem. However, the neighbour has chosen not to. And that is a dick move on their part, but not as much of a dick move as you calling their workplace, babe. Sorry, calling a spade a spade. Somebody else says it is not remotely cruel for her to have wind chimes. It is cruel for you to have an animal claiming that it is an emotional support animal when it needs an emotional support animal itself. A dog that's afraid of wind chimes will absolutely never cut it as a service dog. There are actual criteria and temperament requirements. It would be selfish to put that dog to work, and an actual service dog wouldn't need to be pussyfooted around. This is really interesting because this is something that I know absolutely nothing about. So I'm grateful to have this insight. I urge anybody who is thinking about this to make fully informed decisions and look into this stuff further. Don't just go by what I'm saying. Don't just go by what somebody on the internet is telling you, like this commenter. I do absolutely see where they're coming from though. I know somebody who has a little service dog who nearly didn't pass their test as a service dog because they got really excited about leaves. Which is really cute if you think about it. Having said that, she still did pass. This was just an issue that had to be sort of like trained and worked on. But I do see where this commenter is coming from. And it still absolutely does not stop the fact that you were incredibly out of line OP for doing what you did. Wow, entitled much? The neighbour's wind chimes predate you and the dog, and you have the gall to try to get her fired to not change a decor to suit you. What if the dog never gets over it? Crikey, you are the asshole, a gaping one. I see where this is coming from. I do also think though, it's just an neighbourly thing to do, right? To adapt, if you can. Which is why I'm saying I do think the neighbour needs to take a little bit of accountability for not doing it when it could have been a very clear small thing to have temporarily removed them for your dog to get desensitized. And I do think there is a world in which your dog will be desensitized, like especially with the right training, with the right methods of exposure. I feel like that can absolutely be trained out of an animal. You need to know what you're doing, and you need to do it with patience, which is often a virtue. Are you kidding me? You called her workplace completely. You are the drama. This is actually insane of you, and I hope that she is somehow able to retaliate. Ooh, we have a petty queen. I am a dog lover, says this commenter, but you getting one does not make it your neighbour's responsibility to assure their comfort. That is on you. Maybe you should move or take the time to work with your dog. This is actually crazy. Wow. I can understand the shock. I too was so shocked at your audacity, because that is what it was, to do what you did. I think the one thing that I'm not perhaps in total agreement with the forum over is the neighbour's level of accountability, which I'm finding interesting. I do agree that it is not ultimately their responsibility to assure your comfort or your dog's comfort. However, if there's something that you can do, I just don't understand why you wouldn't do it. You know? Or if there's a really good reason, as I said, something to do with such sentimental value, something to do with the fact that it stops the neighbour from having breakdowns or whatever, regardless of what it is, I just feel like maybe that's something that could have been shared then, if there was a good enough reason. But just because I think it should be done doesn't stop the fact that it is not a legal requirement to do so. And it certainly doesn't stop the fact that you were very, very out of line OP. Whoa. I do wish your floof the best of luck, and I'm really hoping that this doesn't escalate into some like nightmare neighbour next door situation where this becomes a revenge after revenge after revenge, like the entire plot of The Last of Us 2. And I really do hope, OP, that you don't do things like this again, because boundaries are an important thing to learn, and I totally agree that having ADHD does not excuse this behaviour. As somebody with ADHD herself, who often feels very intense and can often feel a need or want to go above and beyond to get things done, it's still your responsibility to be a reasonable person within society. This is not it, babe. Whew, all right, let's shake it off and let's help a fellow peach out, because this last one is a submission from the 1-800-DRAMA subreddit. For those of you who don't know, r/1-800-DRAMA is one of the top 20% of subreddits, baby. And that's all thanks to you peaches. If you have a drama that you would like to share for advice from the peach community, you're very welcome to pop that online. If you don't have a drama yourself, but you want to help out other peaches, I'd really recommend that you do that. It's a wholesome little community here. And also, I don't get the time, nor does Jamie, to respond to everything here on these podcasts. So the fact that there can be this little bubble of the internet that exists for everybody to help each other out makes my heart pop. In the meantime, let's see if we can help out this peach, and it's titled, Am I the Drama for Not Speaking to My Mum After She Fed My Cat Wrong? This is so interesting. Jamie and I were just talking about cat food and how important it is to wean properly. So I might have some particularly spicy thoughts about this, because Apollo, our oldest cat, has had a nasty bout of the toilets. Cats, eh? Who'd have 'em? Hi. Hello. This involves me, 19, and my mum, who is 48. This happened a few weeks ago, says Peach. So just know that my cat is healthy now. Oh no, that means your cat wasn't. I'm so sad. But I'm glad they're good now. So I moved out at 18, but I still live somewhat close to my mum. I have a 10-month-old cat. She's only 6 pounds, and I have to watch her calorie intake very closely. What is 6 pounds in kilograms? I need to know. 2.7. She's teeny tiny. Oh my goodness, that is so small. To put it in perspective, for those of you who've seen Apollo and Prawn, Apollo is the lighter one, and he is 5 kilograms. So this floof is half the size. The vet said that she is healthy, just petite, and I have her on a very strict diet. Only treats that I have researched, no human food, and only 1 treat a day. She is essentially on a raw diet, but her base isn't raw meat. I give her a very high quality wet food and plain cooked chicken with toppers in rotation. Toppers sounds so cute. I'm imagining like a froyo place, you know, you could be like, here's sprinkles, here's chocolate chips, but you know, like cat-friendly versions. He'd be like, oh no, here's fish flakes, here's some little sour cream. She is getting her essential nutrients, and I don't mind putting in the extra money as long as it keeps her healthy, says Peach. I had to go out of town for a week and I asked my mum to feed my cat. I printed out step-by-step instructions, I had everything labelled, and I told her where everything was. An organised queen, we love to see it. She had no problem going to my place to feed my cat, but she did say that my cat doesn't need everything that I give her. Bold of you to assume, mother. One, because we have the little spoiler, the forecasting of the fact that the cat was unwell, clearly in her care. That annoys me so much. But secondly, because you are not living with a cat. Like, how rude is it to assume that you know better than the person who has been living and caring for this little floof in a way that you have not? Aye. When I got back, says Peach, I was horrified to find that my cat had vomited several times and her litter box was an absolute mess. I called my mum and I asked what she fed my cat, and apparently she didn't give my cat any wet food. What? She gave my cat kibble with cow's milk and a fish-flavoured treat. The instructions for my cat's Monday meal was her base, a 1/4 cup of water, a fish paste and eggshell powder. She has rotating toppers each day. My mum didn't follow any of the instructions that I left. This would infuriate me so much. I haven't answered any of her calls or texts, and I refuse to talk to her, so am I being the drama? And there is an edit here. In case I wasn't clear, says Peach, I didn't just stop talking to her without warning. When she called to tell me what she fed my cat, I explained what was wrong with what she did. My mum just wouldn't drop it and kept insisting that she didn't do anything wrong. So I ended the call and I haven't talked to her since. Okay, in which case, you are not the drama. Big fat, you are not the drama. That was actually, I'm really glad that edit was there, because I was like, oh, maybe you are a little bit of the drama, not for what went wrong, but for just ending it and not explaining it, because then your mum's going to be like, well, what did I do? And if she doesn't know, then it's not productive setting boundaries, because it doesn't give her the ability to grow or you the ability to have closure from the situation, right? Not to delve too much into that point, but you know, not that it's your responsibility or obligation to always have to do that, but if you want to have a relationship with your mum that's healthy, then it's always a good idea to just explain where you stand, why you are upset if you're upset, why you are cutting people off if you are cutting people off. But you did that, you explained, and she didn't take any accountability for literally harming your little tiny baby, who is clearly so tiny and so precious. And even if what you are doing is pedantic and over the top, I don't know, I'm not a vet. The point is, what you're doing is not harming your cat, right? She is a healthy weight. She is being looked after well. She is not sick and ill when you are feeding her the stuff that you have so meticulously planned. And so who is anybody else to tell you that the amount of effort that you're doing, the above effort that you might be doing, who knows, is wrong? If that's what you want to do, it's what you want to do. And if someone is taking on, like signing up to look after your cat, they do that based on your rules. And if they don't like it, it's not up to them to go, well, sod that. I'm going to do my own thing. They go, well, I'm not going to do this. And you say, well, fine, I'll find someone else who will do it in the way that I need it to be done. Your mum's behaviour here has been absolutely ludicrous. And the fact that she has literally harmed your pet, the fact that your pet is unwell as a direct result of your mum's actions, and she's going, meh, I didn't do anything wrong. That's batshit to me. It annoys me so much. So no, my love, I do not think you are the drama. If I put the effort into creating a handbook and even more effort of labeling things, putting things on a little video to find out that they didn't even look at that in the first place, I would be livid. So I understand your frustration, I understand your rage, and I understand why you feel like you can't talk to her right now. Cow's milk. Anybody with even half a brain knows that cats are lactose intolerant. Your poor cat. Glad she's better now. Not the drama. I will say, I did not know this before I had a cat. Blame Tom and Jerry, blame all of the shows where people take little milk and put it in bowls and put them down for cats. I would totally have done the same. In fact, I did do the same for my cat, my first cat, Apollo, when we had him as a little kitten. That is what we did. And then he had horrific diarrhea and we were like, oh, this is not good. And that's how we learned, the hard way. You can also get like this milk for kittens stuff at like supermarkets, which is supposed to be like a better version, but it's still not fantastic for them. But I do agree, not the drama, and you poor cat, glad she's better now. A little PSA for everybody out there, do not feed cats cow's milk. You seem excessive and over the top about how particular you are about your cat's food, but your mum was totally wrong for giving cow's milk. I can see where this is coming from. Truly I can. I will maintain though, just because it seems over the top to some doesn't mean that it's wrong for you to be doing. If it's what you want to be doing, it's probably not what I would do, but that doesn't mean that what I'm doing is the only right way to do things, right? If you want to do it this way, even if it means that you're putting huge amounts of effort in, perhaps that aren't needed, that's what you want to do, and that's okay. It's your cat, it's your family, it's your household. When I was a student, I babysit these two little dogs. They were the most adorable little sausage dogs. I loved them so, so much. And they had a really, really strict meal plan, down to how I was to serve them. I had to put one down before the other in a way that they noticed. I had to put one closer than the other. I had to share this little pot of like Actimel yogurt between them and give them a very certain amount of Parmesan cheese rind before bed. Is that what everybody does for the little wiener dogs? No, it's not. But if that's what this family is wanting, and if you are deciding that you are going to take on the role of ownership and care, you do it as per their instructions. Unless, of course, it's harming them. But this isn't harming them. So you shut up, mum, and you listen to your child and their instructions for their precious little floof. I would have had her come over and clean the mess that her negligence caused, or at least send her some very up-close graphic pictures with detailed comments. Do you know, this line of the comment ends with, or at least send her some, and I would be very happy if the comment ended there. Back up that little poop and be like, you don't think there was anything wrong? Fine. Have this in your house. No, I probably wouldn't. But in my mind, I would have wanted to. I really don't understand why it's so hard for people to follow cat feeding instructions. Our cats eat a very specific mix of wet and dry food mixed with water. It's not even that difficult. Still, there's been a couple of different times with different people who fed our cat when we were gone, and neither of them could do it correctly with all the directions written out. People just don't care, it seems. I'm glad that your cat is doing better. Some people are just so ignorant. I'd be pissed off if my mum didn't listen to me. It sounds like she went out of her way to bring the wrong stuff to feed your cat. Not the drama. I see where this is coming from. Sometimes I don't think people do it out of assholery. I think it's because they just don't know. Maybe the instructions are too hard for them to understand. I think sometimes, especially when there's more than one cat, because we've got 4 food bowls, people's minds just get very overwhelmed. I'm like, it's really simple. They have a dry food bowl each and a wet food bowl each, and this is how you put out the wet food, and the dry food just comes out as it comes out. But still, their brains are like, wah. Maybe it's because we feel it's less complex because we deal with it sort of day in, day out as the people who own the pets. Who knows? I do think another dynamic that could be in play here, especially with like a mum-child bond, is that the mum's going to feel like, I know best. You see this all the time, whether it be with pets or even when kids have their kids of their own, grandparents being like, back in my day, I didn't have to do this. I think you're being ridiculous and overparenting and blah, 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 because it's not what I've done. And look at me, I have experience raising something. You turned out fine, right? So why would your cat not? It's like that mentality of not appreciating or respecting you as the owner, or I should say responsibility haver, you know, like carer of a dependent to yourself, because they are still viewing you as the person they care for. I'm not saying this to excuse her. I still think your mum was very in the wrong. I'm just explaining that often this is a mentality that parents have that can absolutely put a spanner of the works in terms of undermining and patronizing you with your rules if it happens to be different to what they would do. Doesn't make it right, does make it a thing. Oh, thank you, Peaches, though, for helping this O-Peach out. I'm so glad, O-Peach, that your little kitty is okay, and I really don't think that you're the drama at all in this situation. I hope that your mum comes around to understanding that you are allowed to be your own Parent yourself, your own floof parent. And if you're taking on the responsibility of somebody else's little dependent, you look after them in the way that you have been prescribed. It's that simple. Oh, thank you so much, Peaches, for joining me on today's episode. I feel like it wasn't the easiest, it wasn't the most straightforward, but I've learned a lot. If you'd like to share your own opinions, as always, do get your fuzzy little butts downstairs in the comment section. And also remember that you can check out the description box for that little wild link and QR code to get yourself your own roll-on. For now, I will love you and leave you. Be kind and have a great day. Bye.